Hey guys, it's Kelsey. Welcome back to another Mojo prompt. So today Leah is using a photo strip prompt from Mercy Tiara to find her mojo. Today I am using Mercy Tiara's prompt to scraplift myself. So I love scraplifting. I love scraplifting other people because I love finding a really inspirational layout someone else has done and tried to recreate it myself. I feel like that's a really good way to get out of your mojo, is to just look on Pinterest for some layouts, find one you like and try your best to recreate it. But what I like about this prompt is you're scraplifting yourself. So this is really good to get out of a slump because you're gonna find a page that you've already made. You've already done it, so you know you can. So I really like that for that reason. So I just went through my Instagram and I was just screenshotting a couple of my layouts I really like. A lot of these are Felicity Jane and One Canoe too. I love this one of Duke. I like the simple layers. And it's Felicity Jane Hannah, which is like my favorite Felicity Jane collection of all time. Here's another Felicity Jane layout using the Heidi collection. I just liked how clean and pretty it was. I was trying to look for layouts I just liked, but I kind of wanted a layout that had lots of layers. That way I could really mimic the layers. So here's one from Wolfpack. I loved this layout. And so this was one that had more layers that I figured I could have fun recreating if I felt like it. Here's one from One Canoe 2. Again, kind of simple layers, but used more paper, some fun embellishment. So I liked that one. This is the one I think I'm gonna go with today just because there's a lot of like bigger layers. Again, it's another One Canoe 2 layout. But I like the bigger layers and that there is more paper. Because a lot of these layers are just chunkier. So I liked that. Here's another one I thought was really cute. one of Bennett's baby album pages, but I liked all the different textures and layers in this one. Here's another Felicity Jane. I think this is the, not Reagan, Harper collection, I'm pretty sure. And here's a Felicity Jane Jill layout, which I really liked. I always love Felicity Jane. Here's One Canoe 2 Willow. I loved the torn detail in the middle of the page. I thought that could be fun to recreate, but there's also lots of fun layers around the photo. And then of course this P13 layout that I did with the acrylic paint and the mixed media. I loved this layout as well. So, and then here's another one. I think that's I'm pretty sure this is the Jill collection as well from Felicity Jane. But these are just a bunch of layouts I screenshotted that I was trying to figure out which one I wanted to scrap lift. And I think it's gonna be this one. I loved all the layers in it. So I'm just going to put the video on fast forward and grab a photo and a paper pad and pretty much recreate this. But this is the prompt for today. Flip through your old photo album, find something that you were really proud of that you did, or something you tried that was different, or something that you forgot that you used to do, and recreate that page to help you kind of get out of your slump. If you're one of those people that really don't like recreating the same look, you don't want two pages that look the same. I have seen where Shamel has scraplifted herself, but she has rotated her page or even upside down and recreated the mirror image or an inverted version of the original. That way in the end, the layouts look different, but you're still using your original to get out of your slump and create a page. So we're gonna get going and hope you guys find this prompt helpful on getting your mojo back. So to start out, I have this new paper pad, so I really just want to go through and pull out any papers that I want to use for this layout. I'm looking for a lot of like good solids because I know there's going to be some big chunks that I will kind of want to be more solid so it doesn't read too busy, because there's a lot of pattern that's going to end up going on this page. But then I want a few multicolored layers that are interesting and can kind of pull in all the colors from this collection. So I go through and pull in a lot of paper. I don't use all of it. I definitely want to pull out the cut apart sheets though, just in case I need some layering. So you can see a few cut apart sheets there. My original basically has a good 1-inch frame. And then there's kind of a, I guess it would be 10 by 10 paper in the middle that's matted on white. So that's going to be what I start with for the base of the page, and then I'll just start building my layers from there. But I really like doing this when I have a new paper pad, is just go through and go ahead and cut apart the cut apart sheet. That way they're just ready. So it just takes me a minute. I'm going through a couple of these cut apart sheets and I'm going ahead and separating the pieces. That way they're ready. And I find that helpful too when I'm kind of stuck. Just playing with paper by cut apart sheets or fussy cutting can also kind of help you get creating, even though you're not actually doing something. Just, you know, fussy cutting something instead of putting a page together can kind of help. So I'm trying to figure out what I want my base layers to be. Again, I want to start out with some pretty kind of solid, more simple papers, because there's a lot of pattern papers that are multicolor in this collection that can read busy. So I want to start off and have my base be more simple. So I'm starting with this darker green plaid and then this kind of tan houndstooth print as the frame. So I'm going to go ahead and trim this up. I figured it'd be cool if I just gutted this piece for the middle portion. That way I had a dark green frame for another layout ready to go. And then I am going to gut this because I do want this tan paper, since it's going to be the outer frame of the page. I want to frame my photo in it. That way that pattern is in the middle of the page already too. That way it's kind of already balanced. So I'm just trying to be strategic about how I gut these products and these papers, so I can get the most out of them for a future page. So now that I kind of have that figured out, I'm referring to my picture off screen, and I think I'm trying to find a white piece of paper so I can copy the original and matte this green and some white. I really liked that kind of fresh edge of having a skinny white mat around the middle portion. So I just had to find a piece of white. I'm going to go ahead and trim that up, and you'll see me gut a portion of this white behind here as well, because I also want to matte my photo in white. So I really kind of want to mimic the mats around the outside of this page around my photo. That way it's all kind of cohesive right off the bat. So that's why I decided to kind of trim this paper how I did. But since I wanted more white, I figured I might as well use a piece that's going to be covered anyways. So I'm going to go ahead and glue the backing together. So this green's going to go on the white, and then that will go on the houndstooth, and that'll be the base. I really liked this sketch. I think this original was for a telephone hop. So I can't remember if I was first and I found a layout or a sketch to Scraplift, or if I thought of it. I doubt I thought about it on my own, because there's some really cool layers in this original that I don't think I would have thought of on my own. So I don't know if I lifted someone else, or I found that idea somewhere, but I loved all the big layers in it, so I was really happy to be able to kind of recreate it. But I have my background now, so I'm just going to go in with my photo and recreate some of those same layers. So I'm doing the white, and then I'm doing the tan houndstooth again. And I like how it's looking, but I do kind of see the tan paper is very, like, I don't know, blah. Like, I feel like the edges aren't defined because it's such a light pattern. So I do go in with my Ranger Distress ink in, I think it's frayed burlap, and ink around a couple of these layers. And I think that really helps kind of ground, and that darker edge around the outside of this layout I think really helps too. So you can see how it looks now versus after I do that. But I do notice that pretty soon after I matte my photo and my layout in this tan that it needs a little something to ground it. But in my original, there's a couple horizontal pieces, and there's a whole cut apart of strips, which is nice because I can just use a couple of those pieces as the horizontal element. So you can see I'm just fussy cutting this gold scallop. I really liked this piece, and I thought I would use it as the horizontal bit, but I didn't like that this lighter green plaid was going on top of the darker green plaid. I just didn't like that the pattern was too similar and the color was too similar. So I end up trimming off the gold scallop portion of this cut apart and tucking it up under one of the other strips. And I think that looks better, not having those patterns so close together. So I'm just getting that fussy cut, and I ended up also taking a hole punch and actually punching out all of those circular details in that scallop too, which I think is nice. But I switched out that piece for this kind of bluey green pumpkin strip, and I like that contrast a lot better. So now you can see I just trimmed off the gold scallop from that other piece and I'm gonna go through and hole punch all of those circles. It was convenient that those circles were about the same size as my hole punch, because I really like this detail of being able to see through this gold foiled scallop piece. So it just takes me a second to get all those holes punched out, and then I'm going to tuck that up under the pumpkin strip, and I think that creates a really cool horizontal element to kind of ground the rest of these layers that are going to go on this page. So in my original, this horizontal strip didn't run edge to edge, but I actually like how it looks running the full length of the page. And that's another thing I like about scrap lifting myself, is if there's a layer or something that looked kind of awkward on the original, I kind of get to fix it by recreating the page. So I like that on this version it goes, you know, the whole way across. So it just takes me a minute to get my double-sided tape down and get that glued. I'm trying to be cognizant of where I need to tuck some other layers so the glue's not in the way. So that's why I'm keeping the glue more on the outer edges, because I know there's going to be at least one big square layer that's going to tuck behind this horizontal piece. So I'm just trying to make sure the glue's not going to be in the way when that happens. But I'm thinking this multicolor floral would be a good one for the larger layer that's behind everything. I'm planning on layering like a doily or some other similar things that were in the original on top of it. So I know some of this pattern will be covered, but because the two papers I have on here already are more monochromatic, I really wanted a paper that had some color in it. So that's why I chose this multicolor floral. There's going to be that fishtail banner that kind of runs vertically to the left of the photo. And I'm thinking that multicolor houndstooth on the cut apart sheet would be really good for that. So that's another reason I wanted this floral, because it incorporated all of those colors. But before I started gluing down more layers, this is where it was really bothering me how bland the edges looked with this kind of muted tan pattern. So you can see that by inking the edges. Maybe you can't tell too much, but to me I see a huge difference. Inking the edges, I think it just makes the whole page look so much like more finished and clean. So I left the dark green pattern, but these lighter patterns I'm definitely going to ink in the brown, and I think that just makes the whole page look so much nicer, especially because this is more of a autumnal collection. I really think inking the edges just warms everything up and really goes with that kind of theme. So now that that's down, I'm trying to figure out what doily I want to use. There's a doily in my original, and I really wanted to keep that on this page too. I tried to use the exact same doily, and then I thought maybe I'll use gold because I have this gold scallop border going across the bottom, but neither one of them seemed to be working. So I decided to set the doilies aside and go ahead and get this vertical strip down. That way I can kind of see how it would look once I have this horizontal band. So I'm inking that really quick, got that trimmed up, and then I'll revisit the doily. But for whatever reason, the proportion of the doily was looking odd. So I did have a scrap of one of my giant doilies that Allie sent me. So I pretty much just substituted it for that, and I like how that looks a lot better. I think the proportion works out. So you'll kind of see, but now I have that down. I love this banner because it includes all the colors from the page, including the gold. So it kind of ties in the color scheme of the entire page, which is nice. And I feel like that banner down the side just kind of anchors the photo and kind of gives me a spot to build from. And then this is another thing in the original. There's this frame detail that is in the original layout that I wanted to incorporate as well, but it looked really awkward where I had it placed before. So I'm just going to end up moving that frame. So where I have it placed now is kind of how it was in the original, and it just looks disconnected. I don't know I don't know, I just didn't like the ending placement there. So it's another thing I'm gonna kind of fix on this version of the layout. I decided to tuck it behind the photo here, and I just think that looks a lot more natural, and I like the layery look that that adds. Having that frame there almost makes the smaller doily look even more awkward and disproportionate. So once I changed it to this scrap of the bigger doily, I think that all looks a lot nicer. And because the floral is kind of more busy, I like that there's a bigger floral to kind of cover up more of it. But I'm liking how this is laying a lot better. So it just takes me a minute to kind of figure out what else I want. There's a couple layers to the right of the picture. There's like a pattern paper, but then there's also some cut apart embellishment. So I'm also kind of trying to figure out what I want that element to be on this page. I definitely was thinking there, you can kind of see in the bottom right hand corner there that cut apart that says notes, and I'm thinking maybe instead of doing like embellishment there like I had on the original, I would just do my journaling there with that cut apart and kind of forego the additional pattern paper that was in the original, just to keep the proportions and everything looking good. So I think that'll work out good. I'm just getting this frame down now. I really like how it looks layered behind the photo instead of kind of how it was in the original. So I'm going to go ahead and commit to that. I think I'm going to go ahead and glue down the doily too, because I like that placement. So just getting everything glued down. I definitely need a title. I know I'm going to do my journaling on that little cut apart sheet. With the gold scallop and the gold foiling detail, I definitely wanted my title to be gold. I really didn't have the letters I needed, so I'm going to go ahead and trim up one of these Z's into an L, and I'm going to flip a V upside down as an A. But I'm just titling this play. This photo is when Marcus and his friends got a scary game that they can kind of play as a team, where they have to like investigate, but it's kind of like paranormally and creepy, and there's jump scares, which is hysterical because Marcus is really dramatic when he gets scared. So they wanted to do like a group stream where they stream it so other people can like log on and like watch them play together. So we like moved all of his computer stuff down to the living room, and he set up this whole like streaming system on our big television so I could watch, and it was just so much fun. So I wanted to document it. So I'm on a couch with my book, and then Billy's got his little chair in between us he's watching us, and I just wanted to make sure I documented this night because it was a lot of fun. And it's so funny to watch Marcus play scary games because he gets so scared. But yeah, that's the gist of the photo. So that's pretty much what I'm going to write with my journaling. I just need to find a pen. I think I find a pen that matches the green plaid pretty well. So once I kind of find that, I'll do my journaling. But I love these cork hearts. I wanted to kind of mimic the same design in the original, where I had some things kind of centered, some embellishment centered over the title to the left there. And I love these warm cork hearts from Redefine Creative. I think they kind of go with the autumnal vibe of this collection. So I am just trying to figure out, I like those two layered up over there, but I definitely want those hearts kind of spread around the page in a visual triangle. So before I can figure out where the rest of the hearts are going to go, I need to get my journaling down so I have that element of the page down, so I can kind of, you know, embellish the rest of the way. But it just says Marcus and friends decided to do group stream of a scary game, so we set up the whole living room. I had my couch with a good book, and Billy had his own chair right between us. What a fun night. Marcus is so funny when he gets scared. So that's all the journaling says. I inked around the edge of that cut apart too, so everything looks very cohesive. And I'm just going to layer that to the right of this photo here. And then I can kind of figure out the rest of my embellishment. I really don't feel like I need to embellish too much. I love these cork adhesive hearts, so I really just want to create a nice visual triangle with those, and I really feel like that will be enough. I'm just trying to make sure they look balanced. So I like the two sizes I already had over there with the play, but there's a big cork heart I decided to have over by the journaling piece, and then to create that visual triangle just so your eye kind of flows around the page and that cork is balanced, I just scattered 3 of the little hearts up over that frame in the middle. And I think that creates a nice visual triangle. I think that really completes the page nicely. I did want a little extra something, and because there is some gold foiling on this page, I go in with some Heidi Swap Gold Color Shine, so I'll sprinkle that in a few areas just for a little extra glimmer. But that's pretty much it. So this page I really love. I love scrap lifting. I don't often scrap lift myself, which is why I really liked this prompt, but I love how it turned out. And I'll go ahead and have when the close-ups come around, the page I actually scrap lifted, so you can kind of see back to back my inspiration versus this page. And you can see that by using like different products and just tweaking the few things I did, they really do, like, you can tell that they were inspired by each other. So here's page 1, but they look completely different. So it's totally okay if you have a page you really like to really try and copy it. But hopefully that kind of helps you get out of your little Mojo funk. Just try and find one of your own pages you really like and recreate it. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.